Hi everyone, welcome back to the TARDIS Blue Couch. It's time for another Comic Book Issues vlog. I'm your host, Brian Heinz, the last angry geek. And we're going to talk about Captain Marvel starring Brie Larson. And it was a good movie. Not great, not revolutionary, but that's okay because not every movie starring a man needs to be great or revolutionary or changing the genre, you know. It's okay just to make a good movie starring a woman. In fact, it should normalize things. We don't have to make a big deal out of every time a woman stars in a movie. It shouldn't be a big deal every time a woman stars in a movie. It should just be, okay, this movie stars a woman, let's go. Captain Marvel is a fun film, but hey, that's all it needs to be. It's actually sort of a prequel to the MCU in much more of a way than Captain America First Avenger was, because it sets up and establishes the thoughts of the most important linking character in the MCU, Nick Fury. This gets him ready for the superheroes, for the aliens, for the gods. This kind of opens his eyes to this wider universe out there and gets him started down the path that will lead to the Avengers. And so in that way, Captain Marvel is a very important prequel film because it sets up Nick Fury. Let's break down the stars of Captain Marvel, starting, of course, with Brie Larson, a.k.a. Veers, a.k.a. Carol Danvers, a.k.a. Captain Marvel. Brie plays Carol as a woman with a good sense of humor and no fear, really. She's going to stand up to anybody who gets in her way. But there's also a big question mark on her identity. She's a Kree soldier with memories she can't place. Now, like I said, she's got a good sense of humor. She's always joking around with her friends, which is a nice departure from the overly serious superheroines Marvel's been giving us, like the Black Widow or the Wasp. But it never feels like we get to the heart of who Carol is, and mostly that's due to the amnesia element of the character. She does get her memories back, but then it's right into the Save the Skrulls mission. There's never any time to unpack and register what all those memories mean to her. Marvel is more or less someone for the rest of the cast to play off of. She never has these memories or this history to draw upon, so while she's trying to find it out and she's having these flashes, she's mostly there for the other characters to react to or interact with, rather than set up her own character development. She's there for the others to develop off of, if you understand what I'm saying. I'm hoping she gets more character development in Endgame or in a future Captain Marvel sequel, but for this film, the little we got of Carol Danvers was enough. It's just not much more than enough. She's a warrior. She's brave. Really, that's about it. I'd like some pain or pathos. I'd like some love outside of her deep friendship with Maria and Monica. She was kind of a cipher. And that's okay for this first film because it plays into the story, but in future appearances, we need more from her. Sam Jackson as Nicholas J. Fury. We'll just call him Fury. He's really the VIP of this movie. He's not the ultra-cool super spy packed to the brim with deadly gadgets, secrets upon secrets, and plans within plans. Here he's sort of a proto-Fury with good ideas. He's more of a desk jockey, a bureaucrat. But he quickly becomes Carol's sidekick because with the Skrulls, he can't trust his team. She can't trust anyone else after she kind of establishes that he's not a Skrull. So they kind of get lumped together because there's literally no one else for them to trust. And he becomes her sidekick. It's not a partnership. He's her sidekick in this movie, and that works. It's Carol's story. Nick's job is more or less to witness this all and then get his mind open to the ideas of what the MCU will eventually become. By the end, he's worried about all the threats out there and starts heading towards the Protector Initiative. I'm sorry, the Avengers Initiative. How great was it that Nick Fury is an unrepentant cat lover? I mean, it was almost embarrassing when he finds Goose, how he's going gaga over that. Oh, what you depressing little kid? It's like, that's Nick Fury doing that. That was hilarious. It was very entertaining. With the humor, Sam takes as good as he gets from Brie, and really, this is the best Nick Fury movie I've seen to date. Then there's Ben Mendelsohn as Talos. One of my biggest problems with Skrulls in the comic books is that ever since Secret Invasion, they've been the go-to villains of the cosmic stories. And you see a Skrull kill it. There were a lot of, moments where I thought, well, these Skrulls are as much victims as the Avengers, but then the Avengers just kill those people. It's like, oh my, there was no compassion for Skrulls. And I don't like the idea that a whole race is universally evil outside of Doctor Who. So you can imagine I was actually pretty happy when the twist comes and Captain Marvel does a total 180. We learn that the Skrulls are actually the victims here. The Kree are the bad guys, as we've kind of established in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and Guardians of the Galaxy. What I was really happy about was that they didn't spoil that in the trailers, which they almost always do in trailers these days. The Dark Phoenix trailers have hit, and they've already spoiled that Raven's going to die. They didn't let it slip. They played the Skrulls were the bad guys in all the trailers, all the commercials, and they do this switch. And I did not see that coming. So whenever they surprise me in a movie plot, whenever they buck the tropes, as it were, I'm very happy. So I'm glad that the Skrulls turned out to be the good guys for once, given how they're almost universally the bad guys in the Marvel comic book universe. Ben Mendelsohn plays Talos as appropriately sinister, but he still has this dark vein of humor. And then once the twist occurs and we realize the Skrulls are kind of the victims here, they're refugees, he still has that sense of humor, but the rest of his personality kind of lightens up, and it never gets too dark. Like, he's willing to talk to them about his shape-shifting powers and never gets like, why would I do that? You know, but it's never like, you're stupid for asking me that. It's never, I'm offended that you asked me that. It's like, why would I do that? It doesn't make sense. It's just like, he's just having logical conversations with the people. He's able to thank Carol for saving his family. It's a nice change that keeps with the plot twist. It's nice that he's consistent, but our perceptions of him change, and then later actions back up that change. Then there's Lashana Lynch as Maria Lambeau. Maria's another character I wish we'd gotten to spend more time with. We kind of get her at the halfway point in this story. And the problem with Carol's amnesia is we're introduced to characters she knew with no real setup. We just know they were friends. We don't get to see that friendship outside of a few quick flashbacks. And to Lashana and Brie's credit, they really play it off as two friends who were really that close, who really loved one another. She plays Maria as cautious with all this craziness going on, but at the end, when Carol's in trouble, and even when it gets dangerous, she still stands with her friend. In part because of her daughter, Monica Lambeau, who's played by Akira Akbar. And without Monica, they could not have cemented the relationship between Maria and Carol. Because as soon as she kind of walks in their garage, she's, Aunt Carol! Runs into big hugs. She has all this hero worship. She's kept all her pictures in her jacket. That really sells how close these two must have been, that Maria's daughter thinks so highly of Carol. I don't think I could have bought Maria and Carol being as close as they were without Monica there to back it up. As for the rest of the cast, your Clark Greggs, your Jude Laws, your Annette Beddings, they're unfortunate casualties of the Amnesia storyline because we never get much character development. It was almost like Coulson was there to sell it as a prequel. Like, oh, look, that guy who died in Avengers, we're not talking about the TV shows and the movies, is still alive in this one. So it must be a prequel. And then Jude Law never really had much to bring to that role. It's like, I'm the tough CO. We're also the bad guys, but I'm still the tough CO, and I'm going to talk down to you, then get blasted. That was a solo moment. And Annette Bening never really gets to play the character. We get to see the original Marvel, which that was a nice twist, because I thought, oh, Jude Law will be Marvel, and he'll die, and she'll take up his reins. And then they do the twist, and he's the bad guy. And oh, she's Marvel, but she wasn't a warrior. She was just she was a Kree who inspires Carol, which is close enough. But we just get her, like, a few scenes of her talking to Carol, and then the intelligence, which I'm glad they didn't make a giant head, takes on her form to talk to her, but then I'm this emotionless computer talking to you through this body, and then, hi, how's it going? We're going to fly, in a flashback. I mean, there wasn't really too much meat to that performance for Annette. So honestly, those three actors are wasted. Overall, Captain Marvel is a good time. I think you'll have fun with it. There is a lot left for Brie Larson to do with Carol Danvers. She needs to be more than a sense of honor and a wisecrack here and there. Danvers needs to set down some roots and deal with her past to become a more fully rounded human, and I hope that they do that in future appearances. But the special effects were good on this. The plot twists were kept secret and avoided the straightforward story that we were sold on in the trailers. Basically, this is a buddy road trip movie between Danvers and Fury. Go watch it, you'll have a good time. My rating for this would be about 3.5 out of 5 stars. On a final note, that opening Marvel sequence was wonderful, and I totally lost it at the Mallrats gag. We miss you, Stan. Until the next vlog, my friends, which will probably be Dark Phoenix, this has been Comic Book Issues, and I'm your host, Brian Heinz, the Last Angry Geek.